A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+. English, because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A+ way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A+ English.
Okay, welcome to A+ English. I'm Elsie.
And I'm Reese, and today we're back for day 2 of our article about using Google Maps to help plan a trip.
Right, Google Maps is very, very useful.
And yesterday we saw Gavin and Tracy who were traveling to Tainan, and they're using Google Maps to kind of plan everything that they want to do and all the places they want to visit. And we're discovering that Google Maps is a very good tool for doing that.
Right, like you mentioned yesterday, you said that Google Maps can also help you plan your trip, right?
Yeah, you can save locations, you can find the fastest route, you can even download maps to use offline. Super useful. So today's warm-up question, Elsie, how else can you use your phone to help you?
还有什么是你可以用你的手机帮助你的事情？There are a lot of things that a phone can help us, right? So we can plan a trip, we can find our way, and we also can search for a lot of information with our phone.
Yeah. Before we had to use computers to find information on the internet, but now smartphones have browsers and we can just Google anything that we want to learn.
Yes, and we can take as many pictures as we want to.
Yeah, we can also pay for things. Like you can pay your phone bill or your rent online by using banking apps. You can even use Line Pay to pay for things in restaurants or supermarkets.
Right, there are so many different kinds of apps for us to use.
I think one day we won't even need to use real money because we can just pay for everything on our phone.
对呀，现在可以用这个行动支付。
Super convenient.
Very much so.
Okay, you guys can think about this too. How do you use your phone to make your life easier? But for now, let's get into day 2 of our article and see what Gavin and Tracy are up to.
Never get lost again with Google Maps. Warm-up question. How else can you use your phone to help you?
Gavin and Tracy are in Tainan, and they are looking for something to eat.
Are we lost? I think we're going in circles. We went past this 7-Eleven 3 times already.
I think you're right. But don't worry, we can use this cool new AR feature to find the route.
How does that work?
It uses the phone camera. These arrows here show us the way.
Gavin and Tracy finally arrive at a street full of restaurants.
We're here. There are so many restaurants. Which should we choose?
Let's use Google Maps reviews to find the restaurant with the best reviews.
Word power.
Past. Phil smelled the nice fresh bread when he walked past the bakery. Phil smelled the nice fresh bread when he walked past the bakery. Finally. After a long flight, Mary finally arrived in London. After a long flight, Mary finally arrived in London. Restaurant. David often comes to this restaurant because it sells his favorite food. David often comes to this restaurant because it sells his favorite food. Review. Steve always reads reviews of movies to choose the best one to watch. Steve always reads reviews of movies to choose the best one to watch.
认识字汇
Route, 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 route. Arrow, arrow.
Okay, so today's article begins by establishing the scene. Gavin and Tracy are in Tainan and they are looking for something to eat.
Gavin 跟 Tracy 目前到了台南，他们在找东西吃。Look for something 代表的是寻找某物。那这边用到现在进行式 ，They are looking for something。怎么样的东西呢 ？They are looking for something to eat。他们在找可以吃的东西。
Gavin seems a bit worried. He says, are we lost? I think we're going in circles.
Gavin 这边问我们迷路了吗 ？Are we lost？ 然后他后面用到的 I think we're going in circles。Go in circles， 你看字面就会发现好像是在绕圈子，对不对？因为 circle 是圆圈，所以这个片语呢，代表就是你在绕圈圈兜圈子。所以 Gavin 这边说迷路了吗？我觉得我们在绕圈子。
Yeah, going in circles is an interesting phrase. It can mean physically if you're lost. You're walking around and around the same area. You're not making any progress.But going in circles doesn't have to be about being lost in the city somewhere. It can also just mean doing the same thing over and over again. Not a good thing to do.
Nope.
Okay, back to the article. Gavin continues. He says, we went past this 7-Eleven 3 times already.
Past 在这边当作介系词 preposition， 代表的是路过、经过某地、某处。那如果是走路经过，我们可以说是 go past something， 或者是 walk past something。那如果是跑步经过 run past something， 慢跑经过 jog past something， 开车经过我们可以说 drive past something。这些动词都是你可以去搭配的。So for example, when she drove past the cemetery, she got very scared. 当她开车经过墓园的时候，她变得很害怕。那再来呢 past 这个字也可以用于时间上的表达哦，像是it's 5 past 10， 请问现在是几点？代表现在是10点05分。那如果是 it's a quarter past 9， 代表现在9点之后过了 a quarter 是15分钟，所以代表现在是9点15分。那课文例句给的是呢 Phil smelled the nice fresh bread when he walked past the bakery。Phil 走路经过那一间面包店的时候，闻到了好闻的新出炉的面包。
I'm hungry now. I'd love to eat some bread. So this word past is a preposition. Past, past, 都可以. We can use past for talking about physical space or time. So when we're talking about space, to walk past something means you go by it. On my way to school, I walk past the hospital.And when we talk about the past, we're talking about things that happened before in time. So World War II happened in the past.
In the past 指的就是在过去，在以前的时候。那这边他们已经走了3遍，经过这个 7-Eleven 3遍3次，他们用到的是 3 times。那如果是一次一遍是 once， 2次2遍是 twice， 3次以上呢，你就用数字加上 times 就好了。所以3次是 3 times， 4次 4 times， 5次 5 times。所以课文当中呢，他们说到的是我们已经经过这间 7-Eleven 3次了 already 3 times。
Actually, we do have a special word for 3 times. We can say thrice.
Thrice, right?
But it's kind of old English and we don't really use this word anymore.
所以现在已经没有在用 thrice 这个字了。
Yeah, but
so once, twice, 3 times.
Yeah, once, twice, 3 times, once, twice, thrice. If you use thrice, though, with a native speaker, they're going to be like, wow, you know this word? Because it's just a very old word.
Okay.
Okay, back to the article, and Tracy has something to say. She says, I think you're right, but don't worry.
Tracy 跟 Gavin 说，我想你是对的，也就是我们真的绕了3圈。But don't worry, 不要担心。
Tracy has a solution. She says we can use this cool new AR feature to find the route.
What does AR mean?
AR is augmented reality.
没错 AR 是 augmented reality 代表的是扩增实境。所以呢，我们可以用这个又酷又新的 AR 功能来找到路线。我们用的是 route， 也可以说 route。所以呢，你如果有一个路线图，代表你有一张 route map 或是 route map。
So augmented reality is a new technology. Augment kind of means to change. So to change reality means to change the way that the real world looks. So Pokemon Go is an example of an app that uses AR technology. You can click on your screen and take a photo with your Pokemon in the real world. It's different from VR, which is virtual reality. Virtual reality is when you put on some goggles and you are existing in a whole different world instead of changing the real world. We also had the word route, or as Elsie said, route. Route is the British pronunciation and route is the American. Route or route is a noun and it's the way to go somewhere. It's the path to a destination, a place that you're trying to reach.
Okay, so back to the article. What does Gavin say to that?
Gavin says, how does that work?
So it seems that he has never used that feature before, huh?
He's talking about the AR feature.
So how does that work? 这个 how 为首的疑问句呢，问的是如何、怎么，像是 How do you go to school every day? 你每天怎么样去上学的啊？你要回答的是一个方法。所以呢，学校老师一定都会教你，你要说的是 I go to school by bus。后面 by 加上交通工具来说出你上学的方式是如何，或者是呢，有可能你也会问 How did you make something? How did you make this cake? My mom taught me how to. 我妈妈教我的。好，所以记得回答当中会有方法出现。那我们现在先进到 Magic Box 听讲师讲解咯。
Magic Box
Hello， 大家好，我是 Peggy。那前几天呢，一个朋友 A 跟我讲一个小秘密，跟我说啊，你不要跟其他人说哦。然后后来呢，朋友 B 也跑来跟我说这个秘密，他讲到一半的时候，我就说啊，你不用再讲了，我已经知道了。他大惊失色说 How do you know？ 你怎么知道？我说搞什么？这算什么秘密？大家都知道嘞。那说到这个，你怎么知道的这个怎么？今天就要来教大家怎么用英文问怎么哦，这个句话好多怎么。英文疑问词的怎么或是如何是 how， 问句的造法跟疑问词 what 一样。比如说朋友 B 问我说，哎，你怎么知道这个秘密的啊？就是疑问词加上助动词 do， 再加上主词 you 和动词 know。How do you know？ 那这个句型在问路的时候也很好用。How do we go to the general hospital from here？ 我们要怎么从这边去医院呢？或者你想问朋友说，哎，你怎么有办法考这么高分啊？ How do you get such good grades？ 你是天才吗？但是要注意哈，我们有时候问别人的意见的时候会说，你怎么看啊？你怎么想啊？虽然中文里面呢也是有怎么，但其实我们想问的是对方的看法、对方的想法，而不是他是用什么方法想的。这个时候要用的疑问词是 What do you think？ 疑问词 How 的回答也很简单，你就直接用直述句回答就好了。比如说 How do you know the secret？ 你是怎么知道秘密的呢？我是怎么知道秘密的？Alicia told me， 是 Alicia 告诉我的。或者是 How do you get such good grades？ 你怎么考这么高分啊？我很认真读书好吗？ I study really hard。天下可没有白吃的午餐啊。 How 的用法这么简单，还不赶快学会吗？
回到课文来，我们说How does that work？ 这个又酷又新的 AR 功能是怎么用呢？
Well, Tracy tells us exactly how it works. She says it uses the phone camera. That's similar to how Pokemon Go works.
对呀，就跟宝可梦的游戏一样，它是用手机的相机功能。
And then Tracy continues, these arrows here show us the way.
arrow 代表的是箭头箭号，所以呢，打开这个 app 之后呢，这里的箭头会帮我指路。
So arrow is a noun and it's a kind of shape. It's a long, thin rectangle with a triangle on the end. We use arrows to point to things or to show us the correct direction or way to go.
Arrow 也可以当作弓箭的箭，就是 bow and arrow.
Exactly, which is a similar shape.
对的。
And we shoot arrows at things for sports or maybe if you're hunting.
所以 bow 是弓 ，arrow 是箭。那我们现在的箭头、箭号跟那个箭的这个形状是很相似的，所以才会用这样的一个字。
Okay, back to the article and some information about their situation. Gavin and Tracy finally arrive at a street full of restaurants.
Finally 这个副词啊，代表最后、终于。我们也可以用 eventually, E-V-E-N-T-U-A-L-L-Y, 或者是这个片语 in the end 来说。So for example, they finally made a deal, 代表他们最后终于达成了协议。那另外呢 finally 也可以带出最后的步骤，像是 First, boil some water. 第一个步骤，先煮水。Next, mix cocoa powder, milk and water together. 接下来呢，把可可粉、牛奶和水混在一起。Finally, 最后 add sugar in it if you want. 如果你想要的话，再加些糖到里头去。First, next, finally. Finally 带出最后的步骤。那课文例句给的是呢 After a long flight, Mary finally arrived in London. 经过一场漫长的飞行之后 Mary 终于抵达了伦敦。
So the adverb finally means in the end, eventually. After everything else is done, finally means the last thing is done. If we say finally, it can simply mean the last thing, but it can also be used to emphasize that we have been waiting for the last thing to happen for a long time. For example, my sister finally arrived home 2 hours later than expected.
再来呢，我们还看到一个名词叫做 restaurant 餐厅，像是啊，在台湾有很多不同的餐厅，那我们特别拿深坑的来说好了。A lot of restaurants in 深坑 are famous for their, do you know what, Reese?
Tofu.
Tofu,
I've been there.
Do you like it?
I love it. It's
You
so good.
love
The stinky tofu with the 泡菜, 酸菜, it's
对
really
呀，很好
good.
吃，或是煮的也很好吃。然后再来 restaurant 这个字呢，跟它相关的单字有很多，像是 waiter 服务生，可以指的是男性或女性。那如果你特别要指女服务生的话，你可以说 waitress。
Right, so a restaurant is a place that you go to eat. Other people, they cook food for you and you pay them. And then we also have the words waiter and waitress, which are service staff. They work in restaurants and they bring you your food or your drink.
所以服务生帮你点餐的时候可能会说 May I take your order? 或者是 Are you ready to order? 代表就是我可以帮你点餐了吗？你准备好要点餐了吗？那要结账的时候啊，你可以跟服务生要账单，你可以说 Check please. 那在美国呢，你是要给小费的 So you have to leave the tip on the table before you leave the restaurant. 离开餐厅前，你要将小费留在桌上。好啦，那课文例句给的是呢 David often comes to this restaurant because it sells his favorite food. David 时常来这间餐厅，因为这里有卖他最喜欢的食物。那回到课文当中，我们说啊 Gavin 跟 Tracy 最后抵达一条满满都是餐厅的街道上。
Okay, so they arrive on the street with restaurants and Gavin says, We're here. There are so many restaurants. Which should we choose?
我们到了，这里有好多的餐厅啊，我们应该要选哪一间呢？
And then Tracy says, let's use Google Maps reviews to find the restaurant with the best reviews.
Reviews, Google Maps reviews 这个东西，这个 feature 是非常实用的。那什么是 review 呢？ Review 这边当作名词用，代表的是评论。所以啊，我们要尝试一个新的东西的时候，可以先去看看以前试过的人对它的评论如何，像是电影的评论 movie reviews， 书本的评论 book reviews， 餐厅的评论那就会是 restaurant reviews。 那写评论我们用的动词就是 write reviews。 那评论家是 critics， 也就是 写评论的人。So for example, I've heard the movie got good reviews, 叫做我听说这部电影获得好评。那另外 review 还可以是复习的意思哦，可以当做动词用，也可以当做名词用，像是 Let's review for tomorrow's English test, 代表我们来为明天的英文考试复习吧。课文例句给的是 Steve always reads reviews of movies to choose the best one to watch. Steve 总是会看电影评论，以选择最好的那一部来看。那课文最后我们说到的是呢，我们来用 Google 地图评论来找最佳评论的餐厅。
So review can be a noun or a verb. A review is when someone comments on the quality of something, like food, a product, or a service. They talk about how they feel about it. You can make a review for a movie, a restaurant, a product like a computer, really anything. Elsie, are you the kind of person who will write reviews on Google Maps for restaurants?
No, not really.
No?
But if the service where the food is really bad, like really, really bad, I might write something on the internet.
I think people are similar in that we only really want to tell people about experiences that are really bad or really good.
Right.
If we have like a regular experience, we're probably not going to be inspired to write a review.
Right. And sometimes if you can get a free dish after you write a review on the internet, then I might do that.
Yeah. Sometimes they give you free things if you give them good reviews. Actually, there's a place near mine, a lady who sells 卤味, 麻辣烫. And her food is so good. And I went onto Google Maps and I saw that her restaurant was there and she had good reviews. And I love her food so much and she's so friendly. I wrote her a really, really good review. And I think it might be the only review for her restaurant in English on Google Maps.
Oh, so a lot of foreigners might see your review and they might go to that 阿姨 for 卤味.
I hope so.
Yeah.
She deserves it because her 卤味 is really good and it's really spicy.
I love 卤味.
That's the end of the article today and the end of our 2-day article about Google Maps. We've learned a very useful tool for planning your trip and finding your way about a city. Let's go to our review time to look at our 4 vocabulary words.
Review time.
Okay, today we're playing definitions. Elsie, I'm going to give you the definition of one of our words, and you just tell me which word I'm talking about.
OK, 你要给我定义字的意义，然后我要去猜到底是我们今天哪一个单字。
Okay, first one is a noun, and it's the name of a place that you go to eat food. Instead of cooking food at home, you can go here and people will cook for you and you pay them.
OK, 所以这个是个名词，是吃东西的地方。你不想在家里煮饭的时候，你就是可以去那边吃。那当然，今天好像唯一可以吃东西的地方，名词是 restaurant.
Restaurant, exactly. You can have fancy restaurants that charge you lots of money for, I don't know, steaks or seafood. Or you can have cheap restaurants like the 卤味 I eat. She doesn't charge much at all.
对呀 fancy restaurant, 高级的餐厅。
Let's try another one. Okay, this word is also a noun, and it's when somebody writes about their opinion about something, like a product or a place.
当有人把他自己的意见写下来的时候，代表他在做评论。
What's the English for that?
Review.
Review can be a noun or a verb.
可以是名词，也可以是动词。
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. There are 2 more words that you guys can play with. Practicing definitions is a good way for you to remember your vocabulary. And if you guys are inspired, you can download Google Maps if you don't have it already. I promise this isn't a sponsored ad. It's just a very useful app to have on your phone.
Okay, so for A+ English, I'm Elsie.
And I'm Reese.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Never get lost again with Google Maps. Warm-up question. How else can you use your phone to help you?
Gavin and Tracy are in Tainan, and they are looking for something to eat.
Are we lost? I think we're going in circles. We went past this 7-Eleven 3 times already.
I think you're right. But don't worry, we we can use this cool new AR feature to find the route.
How does that work?
It uses the phone camera. These arrows here show us the way.
Gavin and Tracy finally arrive at a street full of restaurants.
We're here! There are so many restaurants. Which should we choose?
Let's use Google Maps reviews to find the restaurant with the best reviews.
Word power.
Past, past. Phil smelled the nice fresh bread when he walked past the bakery. Phil smelled the nice fresh bread when he walked past the bakery. Finally, finally. After a long flight, Mary finally arrived in London. After a long flight, Mary finally arrived in London. Restaurant, restaurant. David often comes to this restaurant because it sells his favorite food. David often comes to this restaurant because it sells his favorite food. Review, review. Steve always reads reviews of movies to choose the best one to watch. Steve always reads reviews of movies to choose the best one to watch.
认识字汇
Route, route. Route, route. Arrow, arrow.